Watch as the wave is spreading across the entire northern Africa, and it covers a huge area. During those couple hours, the size of the wave grew couple times. It is important that this reconnection took place between 18 and 19 UTC on 1st of June, and this is the time when this region is passing through the day-night reconnection point, and this is the area where the negative field line likes to connect itself most of the time. So around this time, the strength of magnetic influence started to visibly grow. On those images, you can see that the wave was a 100% physical phenomenon, and this leaves us without any doubts that the magnetic forces are real and they are capable to influence our environment. A little bit more to the south, we can see another field line which is probably trying to make a connection just like the one above did a couple hours earlier. Look at those weird deformations of the cloud layer. I think that it is the sign that here we have another magnetic field line, but this one is less visible than the others. This is incredible. I never thought that I will find so many evidences of the electromagnetic forces affecting our weather. This image showed the vectors of atmospheric currents. And we can see here nicely that the velocities are much smaller in the positive half of this connection, while in the negative part of this flux tube, particles are moving at much higher velocities. Of course, this field line as whole is responsible for the negative flow. That's why all vectors are pointing out of the atmosphere. In such case, we need to look for the differential between those two opposite currents. Positive current flow can be described simply as a connection with weaker outward flow. Here you can see clearly that the velocities are much higher on this side than on the second one. I have no doubts that it is connected with the polarities of current flow. As I said before, there has to be always the plus and the minus. Now look how the reconnection at 18 UTC affected the behavior of vectors. It is clear that after the reconnection, the velocities of particles visibly dropped at the connectivity point. In the morning of next day, the vectors were already pointing towards the crust. That means that the entire connection changed its polarity and became positive. I found a very nice page which shows the current weather conditions and which will help me to learn the properties of those magnetic connections. The problem is that it is in German, but it is very easy to use. I won't pretend that I understand all of those charts, as I am not a meteorologist, but there is no problem at all to look at how the flux tube connection is affecting the weather patterns, especially at the time when the reconnection with the crust took place. That means around 18 UTC on the 1st of June. This chart shows the temperature of clouds at the mid-levels of the atmosphere. And it looks that the reconnection caused the temperature to drop at the connectivity point. Notice that right over the spot where the reconnection with the crust took place, the differential between air masses temperature started to grow. It looks that the bigger are differences between air masses which are placed right next to each other, the stronger the electromagnetic connection is. I will be honest, I have no idea what this chart is showing, but it is interesting because as we can see here, almost entire air mass above the northern hemisphere is aligned with the geographic longitude. Only the air above the reconnection point is visibly perpendicular to the rest of the atmosphere. Here we can see that the electromagnetic connection affected the temperature without any doubts, and it looks that in the area where the magnetic reconnection took place, the air got visibly colder. And again, I have no idea what values are being shown on this chart, but look what happened exactly above the place where the reconnection took place, and right at the time when the strange wave was generated in northern Africa. Take a look at those vectors here. After 18 UTC on 1st of June, when the polarity of the field line changed, the vectors started visibly to point towards the connectivity point above the northern Africa. On this chart we can see that the magnetic connection affected the temperature of air masses at higher levels. For the end, something specially for Julia, who was asking me about the quakes in the Fiji region and where the epicenters are placed deep under the surface of Earth. In this case it was 534 kilometers deep. As I said a couple times before, the tectonic ridge is causing huge instabilities in the structure of the crust in this region, and this allows the magnetic field lines to connect much deeper into the Earth. Possibly the connection reach even to our core. I couldn't find any satellite imagery of this region which would allow us to see the magnetic flux tube as clear as on the METOP images, but I think that you can see it easily anyway. On this animation we can see that the flux tube, which was stretching itself above the big part of southern Pacific, switched its connectivity point to the Fiji island, and it happened exactly at the time when the earthquake took place there. This means that those tentacles are probably the most important factor of seismic activity, but I will speak about it more in the next episode. For now, it is enough. Class dismissed. Peace.